Prince Harry destroyed after House of Lords demands deportation, he's a national disgrace. The phrase sliced through Westminster long before it reached the tabloids, whispered by a veteran peer who watched the monarchy from shadows thicker than red velvet curtains. What began as a single cynical aside, "Why is he still here?" evolved overnight into a drafted protocol that threatened to sever the Duke of Sussex from the nation that once hailed him as its spare guardian. Inside paneled committee rooms, lords compared broken traditions with breached contracts, concluding that loyalty, not lineage, anchored a modern crown. By dawn, couriers carried embossed folders marked Restoration Integrity Protocol toward oak doors older than most of Britain's written constitution, signaling that soft murmurs had solidified into hard policy. June 28, 2025 ignited the public fuse. An anonymous account named UK Politics Pulse tweeted that the House of Lords was done bluffing and Harry should start packing. Within 60 minutes, "Pack Your Bags, Harry" trended above football scores, and within a day, the story dominated breakfast broadcasts from London to Sydney. Harry, basking in Montecito sun, discovered the uproar through frantic texts. Disbelief morphed into dread when aides confirmed that the motion's architects included defense advisors, not just backbench traditionalists. The revelation turned a social media storm into a political cyclone, hinting that the future of a prince would be decided in committee chambers, not comment sections. Behind the uproar sat a broken promise. 10 years earlier, in Clarence House's small blue salon, Harry confronted his father, now King Charles, and vowed 8 earnest words. "I will never speak against the family." That verbal treaty bought him honorary titles, security clearance, and the right to keep a foot on British soil. Then came Oprah, the 6-hour Netflix confession, and Spare. Each revelation counted as a strike by Lord Trendale, author of the nascent deportation motion. His draft defined treachery as publicly monetizing royal secrets for foreign gain, and outlined penalties ranging from privilege removal to residency review. Suddenly, Harry's Californian calm felt like exile's first chapter, not a golden escape. Meghan sensed the blowback before Harry did. A week ahead of the leak, her legal proxy emailed 2 senior lords and a junior Home Office advisor under the subject line "urgent political targeting," hinting that she would recount experiences of discrimination if Harry's status were threatened. Critics read those lines as blackmail, allies as a plea for fairness. When the email surfaced, thanks to a Tory whistleblower, the protocol's momentum doubled. No chamber wanted to appear bullied by Californian lawyers. Newspapers splashed Meghan's alleged threat across front pages, while editorial columns debated whether moral leverage could trump parliamentary sovereignty. Buckingham Palace, fluent in silent messaging, responded by elevating Catherine, Princess of Wales, announcing her keynote at the UN Youth Assembly. To royal watchers, the subtext was deafening. Kate embodies future duty. Harry represents past disorder. Meghan, stung by the optics, launched a glossy podcast teaser. Yet the public fixated on a quieter explosion, a sealed dossier that landed on the Lord's clerk desk without sender or stamp. Inside lay 18 pages of correspondence between Harry and a foreign media executive, linked to government lobbying, dated months before Megxit. The implication: Harry had been plotting an exit strategy with outside influence long before family negotiations, unsettled even moderate peers who had resisted the deportation conversation. The debate shapeshifted from emotional betrayal to national security. Committees convened behind closed doors, inviting immigration ethicists and defense analysts. Then Ella Wren, a forgotten PR aide from Meghan's camp, broke years of silence, handing investigators a trove of internal memos. Among them, "Once he's out, we frame it as trauma, not strategy." Outrage validates departure. Dated half a year before the Oprah interview, the message painted an image of calculated narrative engineering. Furious lords unearthed a rarely used 1951 clause empowered to nullify honorary citizen status in cases of national embarrassment. Reporters called it the nuclear option, peers called it overdue accountability. Across the Atlantic, lawyers dissected Harry's American lifeline, discovering that his O-1B Extraordinary Ability Visa had been sponsored not by Netflix, but by a boutique media firm that collapsed early in 2025. Lose British privilege and the US visa might wobble, lose both and he could become stateless. Meghan urged an immediate public statement brimming with contrition and childhood trauma. Harry hesitated, mistrusting more microphones. That silence, commentators said, echoed like a confession without words, persuading undecided observers that Westminster, not Harry, owned the narrative. Parliament smelled blood. They voted unanimously to advise the Crown to strip every remaining honor, military, diplomatic, charitable. Instead of grand speeches, the palace sent a curt private message to Harry's legal team: retain nothing unless you resign everything within 72 hours. Concurrently, the Home Office flagged inconsistencies in his last border form, signaling readiness to coordinate with Washington. #Harry on borrowed time surged, while pundits counted the seconds. 71 hours later, the royal website quietly scrubbed his profile. A banner announced updates reflecting recent changes. Minutes after, Lord Benedict held aloft a redacted folder in the upper chamber, declaring that immigration violation allegations were now official. Sky News confirmed a Home Office request for U.S. State Department review. For the first time, deportation was procedural, not hypothetical. In Montecito, staff overheard Meghan hissing that this was supposed to make them untouchable. Harry murmured that fame had turned radioactive. Social feeds devoured every rumor, while legal analysts mapped scenarios in which a duke might be denied boarding on a British Airways flight. Public mood hardened. Pollsters recorded majority backing for removal if security concerns held merit. Commuters scoffed at the idea of funding protection for a prince who swapped regiments for reality TV. Meanwhile, transatlantic talk shows debated whether America should shelter a figure who allegedly bartered royal privilege for foreign partnerships. The Archbishop of Canterbury preached that forgiveness walks beside consequence, yet conceded that penance cannot erase actions still unfolding. Helicopters soon hovered over their gated estate, cameras craning for a glimpse of royal ruin. A junior minister remarked, "Turn birthright into box office. Expect the box office to close." The quip dominated late-night monologues. Across the Commonwealth, pragmatic Republican movements cited Harry's saga as evidence that inherited power can fracture under digital scrutiny. Inside Westminster, dusty archives were consulted for precedent. None matched a prince with Silicon Valley revenue streams. Tradition collided with hashtags, and lawmakers legislated at social media pace. While lawyers debated jurisdiction, public sentiment hammered a simpler verdict: loyalty is not a streaming option. In a final twist, a confidential 2021 email chain surfaced, forwarded anonymously to journalists with the tagline, "She was the architect." Meghan outlined a strategy portraying Harry as victim of a centuries-old machine, instructing consultants to pivot to Diana's shadow whenever critics cried betrayal. The Lords interpreted it as pre-planned outrage monetization, labeling the tactic sabotage. International outlets began referring to the pair in speculative tones once reserved for scandal-tinged politicians, not exiled royals. The next dawn, Buckingham reconsidered silence. Rather than public addresses, they froze all residual allowances, signaling that the Duke was now financially adrift. At Westminster, security staff prepared for a vote on invoking the nullification clause. Analysts predicted unprecedented success because a coalition of moderate peers had shifted after the architect leak. One noted that the monarchy survived abdication in 1936, but never assassination by memoir. As rumors of an emergency visa appeal surfaced, Harry considered flying to London for face-to-face negotiation, but advisors warned that landing without secure status might invite immediate custody at Heathrow. Montecito gates remained shut, drones buzzing overhead like mechanical hornets. In cafes, people wondered aloud whether a prince could apply for asylum. Newspapers printed side-by-side images of Edward VIII boarding a Navy destroyer and Harry driving his black Range Rover, caption, "Different century, same exile." When the Lords convened for the decisive session, protesters gathered outside. Some waved Union Jacks, others brandished placards reading, "No passport for privilege." Inside, speeches blended constitutional law with moral fury. One peer argued that citizenship is the social contract's reward for loyalty, not a marketing tool. The chamber voted, the motion passed. Cheers and boos mingled in corridors as pages carried crimson ribbon documents toward the monarch's private office. Within hours, a statement lit royal letterhead: "His Majesty has accepted the House of Lords' recommendation. The Duke of Sussex will henceforth hold no honorary military appointments, ceremonial patronages, or special residency considerations. Effective immediately, he is subject to standard immigration scrutiny." 24 lines, centuries of consequence. Television anchors paused before reading, acknowledging unprecedented gravity. Across the Atlantic, a State Department spokesperson confirmed receipt of Britain's visa status inquiry. Lawyers debated whether political pressure could influence a process typically guided by bureaucracy. Yet watchers noted that bureaucracy rarely ignores national security flags. Panic seeped through Montecito. Insiders leaked tales of frantic phone calls to old friends at Soho House, pleas for image rehabilitation packages, whispers of property scouting in Portugal or New Zealand. Yet cameras captured no flurry, only drawn curtains. Online, a new hashtag rose, bridge burned. Commentators dissected every timeline knot until late night, but one historian captured the moment succinctly on a public broadcaster. Tonight, we witness a bridge reduced to embers. The question tomorrow is whether Prince Harry will cross on blistered feet or surrender to the abyss beneath. At sunrise, a solitary gull circled Westminster Bridge, unnoticed by commuters, yet symbolic. In folklore, a wandering bird portends change. Whether that omen signals redemption or permanent banishment for Harry remains unclear, but the kingdom is already adjusting to life without its prodigal son.